Well, the first board that I was on was an international advisory board. So that was the first one. It was not a public company, but it was comprised of board members from different parts of the world. We had the former Prime Minister of Canada, we had the former Governor of Hungary, and I got on that board through my relationship with the law firm where I had started out. And so they suggested that they reach out to me because it was a European organization, and they wanted people who had broad European experience and knowledge. So that's the very first board that I got on. Well, it's not easy, I will say, to do what I'm about to say, which is to leave no relationship behind, is sort of what I say. Networking is very important, and it's having those relationships in different parts of your life. The first international advisory board was with a relationship that I'd had at a law firm, which was before I'd gone into government. But my government experience contributed to my exposure across the world and throughout Europe. And then energy had been a consistent theme throughout my career. And it's that relationship from that part of my career that helped make me attractive. The second board was a SPAC, which is a publicly listed special purpose acquisition company that was started by an asset management company here in New York. And I had been advising the fund that established this SPAC on other investments that they looked at in the energy sector. And so it was through that relationship, when they were looking to develop this SPAC and launch this SPAC, that they asked if I would serve on their board. They were going to be focusing on looking at potential targets in a broad range of sectors, but to include energy. But I'd worked very closely with them, and so knew him very well, and he knew basically how I would analyze potential investments, and so that's why I was asked to go on that board. And that was a publicly listed company that looked at acquiring private companies. And it's through working and maintaining these relationships with the various different people that I'd worked with in the past, who were able to say they'd worked with me. Because in the end, what boards want are people who, you serve a role, obviously, of providing governance and oversight, but they also want someone that they can work with. And so being able to have people say, I've worked with her, she can add a valuable voice to the board. The third board was a larger publicly listed company, Ecolab, and I got on that board when Ecolab was looking to add to their board, looking at a range of diversity perspectives. And the chairman of the board had a very good relationship, was friends actually with the head of the fund that I had been working with, and so they knew each other. And so they had seen that I was currently on the board of this SPAC, and reached out to him, and so was able to ask about me and working with me. And so that was the direct connection between the previous board that I served on and the next board that I ended up being able to serve on. Well, I say the first thing that I always say is to let people know you want to be on a board. That's the most important thing, because you don't know who might have that relationship where someone's looking for a new board member. So if you're interested, you should start telling everyone that you know that you're interested in being on a board. And so that's really the first thing that I tell. It seems so simple, but it was a lesson that I learned because I had an early conversation actually with the first board that I went on, when he was talking about he was discussing with me looking for boards for this SPAC. And I kind of was like, well, I'd be interested. And he's like, really? I was like, well, I thought that's what this whole discussion had been about. But I hadn't stated very clearly that I'd be interested in being on that board. So that's the first thing that I tell women to do, is to let their friends and their contacts know that they're interested in going and serving on a board.